So I watched a documentary. Was it not documentary? I watched a show on Netflix last night, and it was the Kevin Hart Mark Twain Award. Now, this award is a annual award, I believe, that comedians receive. Anyway, uh, not a massive Kevin Hart fan, but you can't knock the dude for the size of a business he's created. He's created a massive business, a massive circle of friends. He's brought up all his friends. So you cannot knock the guy for what he's created from that sense. His family loves him, his friends love him. He's hit that all out of the park. But the piece that I took out of it was at the end, he talks about his career. And I've really heard this a few times recently. I've heard this from Tony Hawk, heard it from Casey Neistat. And a lot of the guys who are successful in one field really talk about a concept that gets thrown around, but what most people call it as burn the boats. And for YouTube version of that would be Mr. Beast or Jimmy Donaldson, who just after finding what he truly wants to do, he goes absolutely all in. And by burn the boats, you put yourself on an island, burn the boats, and you have no choice but to make that work. And a lot of guys say you are either going to make it or you're going to die trying. And there's another documentary about that from a band called Anvil. There was a documentary on Netflix. Now, the singer for Anvil, an old school rock band, if you haven't seen it, you should highly recommend it. It's about a guy who wanted to be a rock star and pursued that for all of his life. Worked, really. I think he works as a delivery driver or something. Just worked odd jobs to his entire life because he wanted to be a rock star. And even into his 60s, he was still pursuing that dream. And then it got picked up by Netflix. Netflix does a show on it. He ends up becoming famous from the show and does a world tour, sold out world tour. And he made it in his 60s after pursuing it for tens of years, 40, 50 years, 40 years maybe. And that's the dedication of make it or die trying. He was going to give no other option. He wanted to pursue his dream, or he was literally going to die trying to do it because nothing else mattered. He didn't want to do anything else. Nothing else matters. Kevin Hart is very similar. In the early days of his comedy venture, he wanted to do comedy so bad that nothing else mattered. And when it comes to acquiring your dream, and your dream, your passion of what you actually want to do, the hard part is finding that passion. In the early days, people say you need to be a Swiss Army knife and not a fork. So you don't want to be one-dimensional. You want to try a bunch of different things. An example of that, if you ask anyone if they like oysters, most people are going to say, I hate oysters. But most people haven't even tried oysters. And what this tells you is that a lot of people are in jobs or are chasing a career that they may not like because they haven't tried anything else. And if you haven't tried it, how do you know if you don't like it? What if you try a different career or try that thing you've always been talking about? What if you tried it and you absolutely loved it? You loved it that much that you want to dedicate your entire life to it and dedicate your career to it and burn the boats. You just don't know. And so I often think about that oyster. And being a Swiss Army knife in your 20s is very, very important. Trying as many things as you can. Try everything. Try absolutely everything. Because you don't know what you like until you try it. And then once you try it, you go all in. Once you find your passion and you want to decide that you want to do that forever, this becomes everything. And there's a handful of these scenarios where people have decided to go all in and been super successful. And successful to them is living the dream life that they created by doing that. And for example, Mr. Beast, he just wants to make the best videos. And with that comes everything else. It happens a lot with athletes as well. If you just do the work on the field, everything else will come. Do the work on the court, everything else around it will come. And our lives and our careers are really no different than that. So that's about today's takeaway, is burn the boats. Go all in. And once you find something you're passionate about, find something that you want to do, tell yourself you are either going to get it or you're going to die trying.